You know what sounds that is? That's the sound of the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast on the Paddle and Fin Network. I'm almost out of my allergies, so decided today I'm gonna have my little Junglen beer on this episode. So that's an official crack opening beer sound that we have for as the start of our show, like we usually do. I know I haven't done it in the last couple episodes because I was dealing with allergies and medication and all that. But anyways, quick recap on a couple of things. First of all, this episode that I'm recording was actually gonna come out at the end of April, but for things that we'll get into in this episode, I actually put it ahead. So a couple of the intros might not coincide because the episode that's actually supposed to come out today, which actually with Cody Milton, who won the 2-day pro series at Caddo on the KBF, was supposed to come in today. But again, we'll get into details why I should switch it around once we get to the episode. There's a lot of important things that are going to be discussed in this episode that I wanted to get out as quick as possible. So the intro might kind of confuse you because the intro on the other episode, it seems like it's for this week. So, anyways, recap of my week. Finally did my tournament for Whitney Lake for the Northeast Texas Kayak Championship. This is my first time doing the Northeast Texas Kayak Championship. I think the tournament director is Duke Tran, and I forgot the name of the other gentleman that um, runs the tournament along with Duke Tran. But there are they both work for Mariner Sales. So I guess Mariner Sales is the main sponsor for the North Texas Kayak Fishing Championship, you might say. They also got Western Sun Vodka and a couple of cool other sponsorship. I was really impressed with the way that tournament is run. It's very fun. The guys running the tournament make it very fun and really put an emphasis on enjoying this tournament. Great group of guys. It was 80 tournaments. Almost all of them showed up to the award ceremony. If you're looking forward to, get into tournament fishing for kayak fishing, and you happen to live in the North Texas or Central Texas area, consider North Texas kayak fishing. Southeast Texas Kayak Bass League is also a great one if you live further down. But if you live closer to the DFW Metroplex or North Texas, go check them out. I'm honestly really impressed with how well they run the tournament. In the award ceremony, they do raffles. I mean, there were 80 of us, and pretty much everybody wound up with some type of a prize on the raffle. I mean, there were raffles for everybody, pretty much everybody. Almost everybody walked out there, whether they caught a fish or not, walked out with something. I actually walked out with an FPV battery, which I plan to integrate into my kayak. I'm not sure I'm going to integrate it. It's a 12 volt 17 amp, but it's a $300 battery that I got in a raffle just for showing up. As far as the tournament goes, Whitney Lake, if you're not familiar with it, it's very clear water. Pre-fished north of Whitney Lake, upriver. That didn't work out. And then I pre-fished Friday, the day before the tournament, closer by the dam in some creeks that were protected from the wind because it was really windy the whole week, even leading up to the tournament, even at the tournament. Found a lot of beds, a lot of bass bedding. I marked it on my graph. I only tried catching two. I only cast it into two beds just to get an idea of what they were looking at. I caught really quickly the two on the beds that they were on the bass that I found on beds. Like I said, I cast it into two of them, and both of them I caught them pretty quickly. So I was really comfortable going in. I thought I was at least gonna get a 5 limit. Saturday rolled around, got there early, found the beds. A couple of the beds that I found, the bass were no longer there. They just left. One of them could have been my fault because that's one of the ones that I actually caught a fish on, which was the male. And I think my mistake was when I was measuring it, kind of get a feel of how big it was. I drifted from the wind and I dropped him off probably too far from his bed. And one of the things that I've learned about fishing is if you pull that male too early out of the bed, the female is going to leave the nest. And that's great insight. I'm telling you this because I recorded this the day before the tournament, I recorded with Cody Milton, and again, that's going to be next week's tournament. And we talked a lot about that. That the I guess the prevailing thought is if you're casting into a bed and the male keeps grabbing the bait, keep the male if you can, depending on the tournament. Some tournaments you cannot keep the male on the net or tethered. What other anglers do is they'll, take the male and they'll just, release him like 50 yards away from the nest. That doesn't always work that way. And what I've learned is if the female has not laid her eggs, then she's going to leave the nest most times than not if the male is not there. Because remember, the male is the one that sets up the stage for the bed. So if the male is not there, then there's no reason for the female to be there. So keep that in mind. If you're really, really early stages of spawning, if she hasn't laid her eggs and you go the route of releasing the male far away so you can go back to the bed and try to catch the female, that male is no longer there and she hasn't laid her eggs, she's probably going to leave. So that's one of the things that probably affected me. Other than that, the other beds, I even found more beds on Saturday. Big bass in it, and I just couldn't get them to bite. I ended up with two bass, and the third bass, which is a female, I switched setups. I switched to a net rig, and I hadn't used that setup in a while, and I guess I had it way too tight, and she broke off. She was like an 18-inch, big female. Either way, it wouldn't make a difference as far as me landing in the money. So if at best would have ended with three bass, but it was disappointing in a way, not catching my 5 limit, but it was I enjoy bed fishing. I think it's pretty cool, especially when such clear water, sightseeing, it brings a different challenge. But anyways, that was the tournament. Not the result that I wanted, but I still have fun. And again, go check out North Texas Kayak Championship if you're interested in going in the tournament route. I think they don't have an Instagram account. They do have a Facebook account. You can also contact Mariner Sales out of Dallas. They're the ones who run that tournament. And again, it's Duke Tran, and I apologize, forgot the name of the other gentleman that runs the tournament with Duke. But anyways, today's guest is Brandon Mays from That Bass Fishing Dude. We're going to be talking about his social media, his latest trip to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, and his Autism Awareness campaign, which is really important. He was also on the live show with Brian Shearer, the OG show that was on Thursday night. If you missed the live show, you can catch the episode on our Paddle and Fin podcast, so you can learn more about the Autism Awareness campaign. So, anyways, before we go to a quick commercial, big thank you to Douglas Rod. As always, go to douglasoutdoors.com. Check out their full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and award-winning fly fishing rods. Quick commercial from Waypoints, and then we'll have Brandon joining us. Mr. Brandon Mays playing with his phone right there. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, dude?
That was a long intro. I got you on the green room for a while.
Nah, man, it's all good. No hurry, no rush for me. I'm ready whenever you are. I'm here for you, bro.
Man, I appreciate you coming to the show. You were here about, I want to say a little more than a year ago. First time we recorded that episode, I think it lasted like an hour and 30 minutes. We talked a bunch about social media, man.
That was a good while ago, man. That was probably over a year ago.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, man.
But ever since then, I mean, you and I have kept in contact, which I try to do with all my guests. I try to keep in contact and show that it's not just about having you on and, helping me get more listeners, but I also appreciate, what you do for the kayak fishing community. I know you got your amazing social media platform, That Bass Fishing Dude, and I want to talk a little bit about that. One of the things that I really appreciate about you, Brandon, and again, I've met you since you pretty much since you got started in the social media, right around before you even hit 10K. I reached out to you for advice. I remember you answered my questions and my requests, and you looked at my account and you told me, hey, this is what you should be doing. This is what you're not doing. This is what you should be doing, and this is the result that you should expect. I'm not a huge social media guy, but I always appreciated the insight that you brought and the fact that you really care about your followers and the people that follow you on your adventures. let's recap a little bit about that. Now that it's been like back then you were at the 10K, you're now right around 25K and growing. Um, how's it been that journey now of just achieving what you've been able to achieve with your social media?
Well, it's been a pretty wild ride, a wild and interesting ride up to this point, at least. I mean, whenever we first, linked up on the very first podcast, I was right around that 10K mark. We had been communicating with each other prior to that, and it's been a lot different, over the last year and a half or so. The growth on social media has changed a lot.
Yep.
Accounts are definitely in the fishing space not growing at the same rate of speed that they were in the past. Some are not growing at all. You could say. But I've always had this philosophy that the number to me has never really mattered. It's never been about the number or the size of my platform or anything like that. It's always been, go hard for the people that go hard for me. And
Mhm.
that's something that I've always just been focused on, and I've always tried to maintain in my mindset is that the number at the end of the day doesn't matter. Focus on the people that do follow you, that are rocking
Mhm.
with you, and go as hard as possible for those people. Not only for them, but for yourself. I mean, I do this for me. At the end of the day, I really and truly, genuinely do love fishing. I love documenting my fishing journey. I love taking the photos and creating the videos and sharing my story. I love doing that. So the whole aspect of the social media fishing thing for me, it's fun. It's something I genuinely enjoy doing. This is not something that I do for clout, or I'm looking to stroke my ego or anything like that. I'm just focused on learning to be the best possible angler that I can be, and inspiring others out here to do the same. Be the best possible angler that they can, and the throughway to that is through paddle sports. I'm a big fan of kayak fishing. That's something that I feel like changed my life. Coming from my military service and into the civilian world, and through the vast hobbies that I've had since being out of the military, I feel like kayak fishing and just fishing in general. Even though I fished my entire life, but the kayak fishing piece of that is new. That's something that has genuinely brought a lot of joy to my life and my family around me. So, it's something great that I look forward to doing, and I take that with that is that it inspires others to get out here and do the same. I get people that meet me or that come up to me and they're like, man, you're the reason why I bought this kayak. You're the reason why I'm out here doing this. And that those types of things, those types of interactions are always what solidify for me.
No, and I can attest to that, knowing you, for the last 2 or 3 years, and and talking to you. I remember when I started, I had like 500 followers, something like that. Not that that's important. I really don't care. It's not. I focus more on the podcast thing, but I appreciated the fact that you took the time to kind of like reach out and give advice and be honest on your opinions about how to just be, grow your content. In my case, obviously, it's more of about a podcast um, than the Instagram and all that, but it still kind of applies, and how to promote yourself. And you and I have talked throughout the last 2 years, and one of the things that I really appreciate about what you do is we know that Instagram or social media in general, it's gonna have like its little quirks. Like right now, Instagram is pushing the whole reels because, in my opinion, they're competing with TikTok. So they
Yeah,
want so they really control what they really want to control what you're putting out there. They're
absolutely.
saying if you're not doing reels, then we're not gonna show your content to other people, and therefore you're not gonna grow. They kind of force you to it. And I've been guilty of being like, okay, well, I tried to promote the podcast. I'll play along. One thing that I really appreciate about you that you found this balance where you are saying this is my social media, and I'm not gonna let any corporation run it. It's
Yeah,
gonna be how I feel. That is not necessarily focusing on engagement and likes and algorithms, but reflecting who I am and what I want my followers to enjoy. or what I feel my followers are going to enjoy more. And I have mad respect for you. Because honestly, Brandon, the content that you have, when you look at the pictures that you have, the videos, even the you don't have a lot of reels because you don't really believe that's that's organic or that applies to what you're trying to do. But even the ones that you do, it's just top notch. I mean, when you look at other content creators that have like a million followers or half a million followers, I'm like, their content is not even half as good as what Brandon is putting out there.
I appreciate that.
Where do you draw the inspiration to say, hey, oh, and where do you draw the inspiration to put the content that you put out there? And why is it so important to you that it goes the way that you want it? That reflects the way that your personality and your experience on the water.
Yeah, man. First of all, I really appreciate that feedback, man. 100%, man. Again, that solidifies for me that I'm doing the right thing. I'm making the right choices. Getting feedback like that. But for me, I mean, I draw a lot of inspiration from a lot of different people, man. A lot of different places. My family. Just the experiences that I go on and things like that. But for me, the biggest part about the way and the reason why I do things the way that I do is it's about staying authentic and being true to myself. I think this space, being on social media and just social media in general allows people to be really, really fake. It allows you to put on this persona of, you know, in the public eye who, oh, you're this person on the internet, but in real life, you're really this trash human being, or you're just completely opposite of what you actually are on social media. And this space allows you to do that very easily. But something that I've preached and made sure that I maintain is that level of authenticity and realness. When it comes to my social medias, is that I don't dictate that away from my regular life. I don't enjoy reels. I don't enjoy TikTok. I don't watch TikTok. I don't watch reels. Most of the stuff that people are putting on reels it doesn't even relate to what we're even doing in this space. And I think that's where a lot of people get lost in this stuff is they feel like they have to conform in order to grow or to be successful in this space. And that's not true. I work with some of the biggest and with literally the biggest and best brands in the industry. I mean, I literally do. I'm very, very, very well networked and very well connected in this space. And I don't have to do any of that stuff, and that's something that I think, putting that out there and, my brand partners, they know that they have a certain level of expectation from me that they're always going to get real. They're always going to get authentic from me. And I think that that's one of the things that allows my followers and the people that that rock on my platform to relate to me so well is because I am real with them. I do. I take that time out of my personal day and out of my personal life to acknowledge other people. Whereas you got guys that are, smaller than me, same size as me, a little bit bigger than me, 10 times the size of me that don't. And it's like, I get emails, I get DMs, I get text messages, I get comments from people all the time. They're like, man, I just really want to just let you know that I really appreciate you, responding, because I mean, dude, that little bit of interaction, dude, it goes a long way. That's why I do my lives every Wednesday, for the most part, unless there's absolutely something going on that I just have to miss a Wednesday. But we consistently do a live every single Wednesday on my Instagram, and we interact with people, because that's what it's about. At the end of the day, I wouldn't be doing any of this. I would not have this platform if it wasn't for the people that follow me, and that I like to give that back to them. I genuinely enjoy interacting with, my followers. It's fun for me to hear, their stories and understand the things that they go through when it comes to fishing and follow along on their learning journey to becoming better anglers or even, becoming kayak anglers. It's fun for me, but again, people get lost in this space, man, and it's easy to do so. It's easy to be fake out here, and there are a lot of fake dudes out here. There are dudes that I used to be friends with, that I used to be cool with, that I'm not cool with anymore because they're super fake. And but you see them on social media, and you're like, oh man, they're this awesome person that's doing all this awesome stuff, and they're really not doing anything. So
Yeah, I agree to that. It comes to time where you really things come out. You know, if when people are not being sincere about who they are, eventually it'll come out. And one of the things that I appreciate about you and knowing you personally and hanging out with you and all that, and actually fishing with you, is that you always keep it like sincere. You're always yourself. Um, you show the your accomplishments, but you also show your vulnerable side
Oh,
um,
100%, man.
on your videos. And one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Neil, and a lot of content creators do not want to go into a tournament, whether it's bass boat or a kayak fishing tournament, because they don't want to get exposed. Now you're a solid angler, regardless, but you do have made a point that you're not just gonna be a social media Instagram model kind of thing. You're just gonna put out yourself out there. Sometimes sometimes there's good, sometimes there's bad, sometimes it's ugly, but you're gonna put it out there. And I seen your social media. You have your trips where you just go out fishing. You have also your tournament season um, recaps. What got you into tournament fishing? Is this something that you really enjoyed, or you just made it a point to say, "Hey, you know what? I want to show that I'm not just an angler. That I can. That I'm not." Let me rephrase that. In your mind, do you enjoy the kayak fishing tournaments, or it's not that you don't enjoy it, but do you actually got into it to show, hey, I'm not just an Instagram content creator. I'm also a serious angler when it comes to this, and I have a competitive side, and I'm willing to mix it up. What was your idea of actually going into tournament? Because for one thing, it does take away from being able to create content. Now, when you focus on a tournament, you don't want to embarrass yourself. So there's a lot of pre-fishing, and you're gonna have to go to lakes where you're not as strong with. I mean, if you wanted to go the content route, you could easily just go to the lakes that you're good at and slay them and pull cool videos. But that takes you away, and that's my point. So a lot of people understand. Well, if you're in a tournament, you can still record, yeah, but it's a different element because you're out of your element a lot of times when you're in a tournament.
Yeah, man.
Walk me
Uh,
through that. What was the reason behind it, and what are you looking forward to?
so it's really funny, the whole tournament thing, dude. Like, I mean, if you think back 2 years ago, you could have asked me if I would have ever fished a kayak tournament. I would have told you flat out no. And the reason behind that is because I think about tournament anglers in general as a whole, but for the most part, what I think about is the full time tournament angler, like your Christine Fishers, your Catherine Fields, Guillermo, these guys that are traveling around the country, day in day out fishing these tournaments. That's where they're making their money. Some of these guys obviously have jobs on the back end. They got a lot of saved up PTO, and they're just traveling and fishing. But for the most part, they're out here working. This is work. When you think about tournament fishing, tournament angling as a whole, that's a job. It's really a full time gig. And 2 years ago, bro, you couldn't have paid me to fish a tournament because I was like, I love fishing so much that I don't want the fishing that I do to turn into work. And but last year, when ACK, Austin Canoe and Kayak, they hosted actually it's no longer existing, but the longest standing kayak tournament in the country, the Cats Tournament Trail. And this tournament trail is super old. Greg Blanchard used to fish this back in the day. And with ACK being one of my brand partners, and obviously they have a lot of sponsorships with a lot of my existing brand partners, it just made it easy, for me to dip a toe into it. And the cool thing about it is that I get to fish a lot of new bodies of water, stuff that I don't get to fish all the time. So I mean, I'm up here in Dallas, so we fish all this crap up here all the time. And but I get an opportunity to fish a lot of new bodies of water that I would not normally get to fish unless I'm traveling there to shoot content or shoot and have an adventure or whatever. So I dipped a toe into it, man, and I fell in love with it just because tournament fishing is a lot of fun. It really is fun at the end of the day, especially if you go into it with an open mind and you don't go into it with the mindset of, oh, I have to win this tournament. Yeah, sure, you pay your money, you pay an entry fee to get into this tournament to go out here and fish against, a lot of the, some really great talent. But just go into it with an open mind and go out there with the mentality of my goal at the end of the day is to put 5 fish in the boat. So my first year of tournament fishing was tough. I actually only ended up fishing three of the tournaments out of that series, mainly because I did not have my kayak at the time. I was fishing out of a loaner boat, and I was fishing with no electronics. I was not getting to pre-fish any of these lakes because I mean I'm in Dallas. Most of these lakes are in southeast and central Texas. So I'm basically pulling up the night before the tournament. Going to sleep, waking up first thing tournament morning, getting out there fishing, which is fun. I do enjoy the aspect of pulling up on a body of water that I've never been to and figuring it out. That's something that I've always been really good at doing. No amount of map study on the planet is as good as going out there and actually putting your boat in the water and actually going out there and see what it looks like. So, I did terrible. It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about going out here. Sure, if I had to cut a check, I'd have been floored by it. But that wasn't what it was about for me. It was just about going out there and trying to put five fish in the boat whenever it counts, because when it matters, because that's what the goal is. You got to get five fish in the boat. You need a limit. First two tournaments, I did not catch a single fish. First two tournaments, I didn't catch a single fish. And came out of those tournaments, I wasn't down about it. I wasn't like, man, I just was like, man, what do I got to do to get out here and do better the next time? And then finally got my boat, and my first tournament that I got to fish where I actually had, my graph and, had a setup where I was dialed in and I was comfortable was I fished Choke Canyon for the first time. And again, rolled up on this lake. This lake is 6.5 hours away from me. Pull up on this lake, man, get out there, and I have an absolute day, bro. I'm talking a day. And I'm putting fish in the boat, and that's all that mattered, And then, little technicality happened towards the end of the day. All my fish ended up getting disqualified at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because of my hand placement, because I have giant hands. But that's neither here nor there. It was a learning moment, a moment I took to learn from. And then, roll into this year, tournament season volume 2. I went back into this with the mindset that I want to go back out here and I want to do better than I did last year. I enjoy the aspect of of competitive fishing just because you get to meet a lot of cool people, man. Tournament guys are way different than social media dudes, and you ask that question of, did I do this because I want to prove something? It's a little bit of, it's a two-part piece to that. It's yes, I do actually enjoy competitive angling, but at the same time, yes, I am out there to prove that I'm not just this social media, what's the word I'm looking for? Personality, that is just out here making YouTube videos. Because at the end of the day, that's not what I am. I'm an angler at the end of the day. I'm a fisherman. I love to fish, and I can go out here and I can hang with the big boys with no problems. And I've done that. I've successfully this season, I've been fishing the Southeast Texas KBL, which is a solid trail, man, with some serious talent in it. And I've been fishing this trail. I've fished every single event this season so far, and I'm basically pulling up, 2 days before the tournament, essentially. I get a full day of practice in. I don't do a full day of practice. I usually just I study the maps and do all the other stuff. I narrow down where I want to fish, and then I go out for about 2 hours on practice day just to kind of look at things. I might make 5 or 6 casts in practice, but I'm not looking to put any fish in the boat. I want to go out there, mark fish, find fish, and I want to come back and pick them up on tournament day. So, but yeah, man, for me, dude, it's a little bit of a proving thing for me. But I've gone out this season, and I've put 5 fish in the boat every single time, and that's something that I'm proud to say that I've been able to do consistently. Because consistency is a big thing. When it comes to tournament fishing, I've really dialed in how I fish. Mainly and just for the tournament thing, just allowing me to find fish quickly, being able to get on fish quickly, good fish at that. That's also carried over into how I fish in the normal way, just for my leisurely adventure chasing fishing. So, the tournament side of the house thing, it's a lot of fun, man. And I mean, I really do enjoy doing it. And as far as the creating content from it, it's easy. It's an opportunity for me to show a different side of the fishing that I do, because I'm an adventure based angler. Me and Charlie, we put together, these sins that we're going to go on, and we tell these really awesome stories. We catch fish or we don't. or whatever it is. We get, we break a bunch of stuff. We don't, whatever it may be. We always show the good with the bad, because that's what fishing is. Fishing is not a big highlight reel. A lot of these guys I hear that make these YouTube videos, they're making these just giant highlight reels. Everything is hook set, hook set, hook set, catfish, big fish, this fish, that fish. They don't ever show the realities of what fishing is. Fishing is a struggle a lot of times. And that's what we like to show that. We like to show people what the realities of fishing really are. It's hard. Fishing is tough, and it's got a learning curve to it. But I mean, whenever you have good days and you have bad days on the water. But the content creation aspect of it is that it's easy to make those videos, man. Like I make, my tourney season videos are probably, no joke, some of my most popular uploads. This is all GoPro footage, 2 angles, but it all tells a story. Even though, it's a tournament, it still tells a story about what's actually happening, how I'm thinking and how I feel in the moment. It correlates all of that across the spectrum, and it allows me to put out these really, really good videos, that give people insight into what a tournament actually looks like. They get to see the struggles, they get to see the triumphs, they get to see all of that. And that's what it's about for me, man. That's what I get enjoyment from.
No, and it really shows in your content creation. I'm sorry, I just sneezed right there for a second. But it really shows in your content creation, because I appreciate that you show the struggles too. I remember that. I can't remember what lake it was, but you it took a little, like 2 or 3 minutes trying to get that crankbait out of the the
Bro,
line guides.
oh
It
my,
was hilarious. I'm like, that is every single one of us
that
with
was
a
the Toledo
crankbait.
Bend video, man. That was the Toledo Bend video.
Yeah,
That was just wild out there, man. That whole tournament was just nuts.
yeah,
35 plus mile per hour winds, man. 7 foot rollers, dude. But I'm out there,
yeah.
and that's the thing that a lot of these guys aren't doing. They're not going out there to this stuff. I got a tournament, I'm going. I don't care rain, sleet, or shine. I don't care what's happening. I pay my entry fee just like the next guy. I'm gonna be out there. I'm not going just because it's raining or it's 2 degrees outside or it's 35 mile per hour winds. Unless the tournament director calls it, I'm gonna be there.
I agree. And we were both on that tournament for Southeast Texas Kayak Bass League. I was
Yeah,
fishing that
man.
one and the Hobie BOS. But yeah, man, that day was scary. Those winds were really crazy. And you went into the drink there. Fortunately, you were really close to the shore right there. But
I
yeah,
know,
man,
man.
that was scary.
It was
Freezing
pretty
cold
wild.
water, 30-mile-per-hour winds. Not the day you want to fall in the water.
Definitely
Definitely
not.
not. But glad you're still with us for sure. Um, what what would you describe yourself more? And the reason why I'm asking this, you see a lot of like tournament anglers. Like tournament anglers are now understanding that if you want to get, first of all, you can't just live on the winnings. I mean, unless you're pulling like a Guillermo Gonzalez, like the end of last season, where he just went on a tear and ended up winning the national championship KBF, and I think that was, I don't know, something like $60,000, something like that. That's another story. But that's only one person that got that, that
Yeah,
check.
or Rolando Nandini.
Dean, yeah.
Your boy
And
right there is a straight up.
yeah, and by the way, this is Orlando Nandin. I mentioned this on the podcast even when he was here. And I mentioned it actually before he won. Orlando Nandin, once he goes national, and he has this year, watch out. He'll get he'll make a race for the Angler of the Year for the Hobie BOS, which is the most demanding tournament. I don't know if he's gonna win it, but trust me, he is gonna be right there in the conversation for an Angler of the Year. And
100%.
that's how good Orlando is. It was like a secret here in Texas. Like nobody knew about him outside of Texas, but trust me, he's just as bit as good as
Yeah,
most guys out there.
that dude is a straight hammer.
It is. So let me go based on that. We see a lot of like Guillermo Gonzalez, Christine Fisher, Russ Snyder's. The list goes on and on. Drew Gregory, which are more okay. They're a tournament angler, but they understand they can't just live out of winnings. They need sponsorship. But with social media sponsorship, they're like, yeah, they'll value that you won, but really they want you to have a social media content. So you see a lot of this guys and girls, like the ones that I mentioned, they're more of a tournament angler, but they have the social media just kind of like to help them with their sponsorship. So
Yeah.
their bread and butter is the tournament. To you, what's your bread and butter? Is it creating content or is it fishing on tournaments? Are you a
My
tournament angler or a content creator first? Which one?
my whole thing, man, is really the is my relationships and my brand partnerships is what makes me the money, man. And like I said, I work with the best brands in the business, and my brand partners take very good care of me. But at the same time, I go to the ends of the earth for my brand partners as well. And the tournament side of the house is that that's not really for my brand partners. That's really just for me. It's fun. I enjoy the aspect of competitive angling. My brand partners, while you know, sure they value a tournament angler just as much as the next person does. That's not really what they're worried about with me. They know that I create amazing content. That captures and captivates audiences. And that's what they want to be a part of. Is they want to be a part of my content creation, and they want to help me create the best possible content that I can create. That's gonna, portray, their products and business in the best possible light imaginable. And that's what I do. I make sure that I create the best possible content that I possibly can for my brand partners. And it works over well. I'm not a salesman at the end of the day. I didn't jump into this space to become a salesman. So I don't make salesy type posts or anything like that. And that's one of the great things about the partners that I work with is that I don't have to make those types of posts. I don't have to be a salesman. I again with the authenticity piece of all of this stuff and me being the authentic person that I am and the real person that I am. My followers know that if they see me wearing something specific or see me using something, very specific, they know that that's a product that I genuinely believe in. And that is something that they would also believe in if they decided to use it. And that's where, my conversions come from, is from that type of stuff. I don't make salesy type posts. I don't say, oh man, you need to be using XYZ bait or you need to be using XYZ rods. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't have to do that. And that's what I like about my partnerships. So, for me, I'm a content creator, first, because that's the big piece of it for me is the creation of content. I genuinely love creating content. I love going out here taking photos. I love being behind the camera, being in front of the camera. I love, making videos. I love editing videos. I love telling these awesome stories. I love chasing these adventures, man, because it's fun. Even though with the tournament stuff, it's an adventure because, with the Southeast Texas KBL, I think about, just this season alone, there are six lakes on this trail. I literally have only ever fished one of them, which was Choke Canyon, which I just fished. I got Nacogdoches up next. And it's like, I've never fished any of these lakes. So we fished, Fayette first, Toledo Bend, blah, 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 blah. There was another one I want to say. Now we got, I had Choke, and we got Nacogdoches, Conroe. I can't hear you.
I was gonna say, sorry, I was coughing, so I put my mute on. I was gonna say it was Palestine, one of them, but no, I think that was
No,
North
that's
Texas
I think that's North Texas. Yeah,
yeah, that was North
no,
Texas. Yeah,
yeah. So but that's just the thing. Like, so I get an opportunity to fish all these new bodies of water. So yeah. For me, I'm a content creator first, man. Tournament angler second. But again, I love the tournament angler side of it, and it's fun.
I think you have Sabine River.
Sabine, that's what's up.
Sabine,
Also.
yeah,
Yeah, I got the Sabine.
and I think that's down south. That's gonna be like a delta type, like tidal wave, tidal bass. Are
Yeah,
you
it's
ready
gonna
for
be
that? Because
interesting.
that's gonna be a whole nother different level.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. I've never fished the Sabine, so it's going to be something to. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, the classic. I think I'm sitting in 20th for Angler of the Year. So right now, as it stands, I'm qualified to make the classic.
Oh yeah, you'll make it.
And I haven't won one yet. As far as the tournament goes, I've been placing up there though. I haven't gotten into the money yet, but I'm working on it, man. I'm really working on it. I think I got a good shot at winning one this season, or at least getting into the money one of these.
Oh, you will for sure.
So
You can bet
I'm
on it.
pumped about it.
Let me ask you this now. One thing that I'm really impressed by the overall brand of that bass fishing dude, not just yourself, is you have some quality sponsorship. And by that I mean not necessarily, I'm not calling saying like, oh, the big name sponsorship, which you do have as well. But mostly what I mean by that is the relationship that you have with them. That's what I mean by quality sponsorship. You have Temple Fork Outfitters, which you actually designed their swim bait rod, and you're with the Hobie Fishing and a bunch of other ones that I know back you up and really appreciate what you're doing. Other than posting pictures on Instagram and making videos, what has built your relationship and what advice do you have to people that are looking for sponsorship, quality relationships, like long-standing relationships, such as the ones that you've earned with your sponsors?
Man, that's a really good question, man. What I can say that has really been something for me that's really been valuable is just being open. Being open minded and be willing to have conversations with people. Conversations that most people aren't usually having. I mean, you think about these companies work with any and everybody. For none, they don't work with any and everybody, but you think about you know. I guess you could consider them pro staffs or whatever you want to call them. I'm not what you would consider to be a pro staffer because I don't promote things. I'm an ambassador. My partners consider me to be an ambassador. An ambassador for the sport, an ambassador for their brand, and be an ambassador. That's really what it is. And whenever opportunities arise or even when there may not necessarily be something that may be brought up, make yourself available. Say, hey, if you guys are going to be doing any type of demo stuff or whatever it may be, if there's some content that you need from me or something that you a project that you've been wanting to work on or something like that, let me know. I'm 100% open to helping you with that. Making yourself available and being available for your partners is key, to building great relationships. And another big piece of that is show up. Whenever if they present an opportunity for you to do something and you agree to do it, make sure you show up and you do the absolute best job that you can possibly do for them. That's what's important. That's what builds those relationships. That's what allows you to get deeper into that company and get more embedded into that brand for being that person for them. Because you could call any one of my brand partners from Scott over at Realtree, David over at NRS. You can call Brad, Jim, Tom, Kim, everybody over at Temple Fork Outfitters. You can call people over at Ketchco, whoever it may be. They will tell you that I am that guy. They know that they can count on me to take care of anything that they need to do. Whenever ACK went down, I moved over to Mariner Sales. Eris and Duke over there, Katie, that the people at Mariner Sales have always taken care of me. Even when I was with ACK, I could always count on Mariner to help me out with anything if I ever needed it. There was a time when my boat went down, and I needed a boat, for upcoming tournaments. And Duke, I'm under ACK. ACK is my dealer. They are my brand partner. Duke was like, dude, he's like, give me a few minutes and I'll get back with you. Duke called me back and he said, I got a guy that's going to let you borrow his boat if you need a boat for a tournament. He'll let you use his PA 14 360 if you need a boat. And it's like, it's stuff like that, man, that, that builds those relationships. And so whenever ACK, went out of business, I reached out Duke reached out to me first. And originally I did, tell him, I was like, hey, I'm kind of going a different route right now. But I do appreciate you reaching out, and I definitely will hold that in my back pocket if something changes. And sure enough, something did shift a little bit, and I was like, you know what? It does make sense for me to go work with Mariner. So I went over there, and I talked to Eris, and they were more than happy to bring me on over there. They were like, dude, glad to have you over here. And it's like, demo days, all this other little stuff. I'm up at the store all the time. People come in there and they're like, hey, man, I know you, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm talking to the customers and all this other kind of stuff. building a rapport with people. That's a big part of it. You may not be always be able to build a rapport with your brand partner, because you may get somebody that reaches out to you via email or a phone call or whatever it may be. But take that time to build a relationship with them when you do get to speak to them. Call, check in, send an email, send a text message every now and again. Hey man, just wanted to check up on you, see how things are going, just wanted to find out if you guys needed anything. It's little things like that that go, a long way, and just making sure that you're taking care of them the way that they're taking care of you at the end of the day. That's what's going to create longevity with those relationships. And that's something that I've always done.
Yeah, and that's good advice. One thing that I wanted to point out about not just your social media, because that bass fishing dude is more than just an Instagram account. It's a brand,
Yeah.
right? You have your YouTube videos, you have the Instagram, you also have your T-shirts, and which I think is great. I'm actually wearing one right now. Buckets.
OG
There's
bucket.
not a times. There's not a time for those that are watching on YouTube, probably seeing this on my Instagram. There's not a day that I don't wear this. That everybody says I love that shirt. You design them yourselves.
Yeah.
Um, and where did the where did the inspiration come to brand yourself? Because honestly, of all these content creators that I've seen, the way that you brand yourself, you really set yourself apart from the rest. Where do you draw the inspiration? You design your own shirts, your videos, by the way, and I wanted to point this out too. I'm I'm like a movie critic. Like I'm a movie buff. I'll watch movies and I'll criticize the crap out of it and say what I like, what I don't like. I put a lot of emphasis on the storyline, the arcs, the acting, and all that. So whenever I watch YouTube videos, I the same way. I'm like, you know, what is the content behind this and what's the quality? And your videos, I mean, I honestly believe John B is probably, regardless of how people might feel about him, his personality, or him as a content creator, his YouTube videos are top notch. They're
Yeah.
fishing wise, they're the
Yeah.
best. There's the best, and I know he's changed cameraman and editing companies or personnel, and that sometimes you can see in the quality videos, some of them not as quality as the other ones. I think lately his quality videos not been compared to the other ones have not been that great. But anyways, that's neither here or there, like you mentioned. But your videos, I mean, I put them right up there. You make great quality content because, like you said, it's not just about catching fish. It's not just about their struggle. Your B rolls, your capturing the moment, the essence of what you're doing. I think from a critical eye, that's what I love about your videos. Tell me about your brand. Where the inspiration comes to make these videos, design these shirts, and and have these products and merchandise that don't necessarily go with this is Brandon Mays, but that bass fishing dude.
Yeah, man. So it all really just kind of came about. Just I one day, just decided that I really wanted to leave a mark on this space, man. And it was just, you know, in the beginning, it wasn't even about a brand at all. I wanted to be a YouTuber. When I first started this whole thing of being a brand or establishing a brand wasn't even a thought in my mind. It wasn't even something that I even considered. I wanted to be a YouTuber, but I realized really, really quickly and really early on that I did not actually want to be a YouTuber. I actually have no interest in being a YouTuber because I simply don't have the capacity to put out content like that as frequently as required to be a YouTuber. There's a lot of redundant content that's on the internet, as far as videos go and things like that. And I don't want to be one of those people that are making that content. Like I get people all the time that like, oh, you should make bait tip videos, and I was like, why? There's a million of those on YouTube. Like literally just go look up somebody else and they make, why would I need to make that? I have no interest in doing that. And I'm sure people are like, but yeah, but it'd be a little bit different because it's you, and it's like, I mean, yeah, but again, it's been rinsed and repeated so many times over. Like, what different information could I tell you that Tactical Bassin isn't telling you, or so and so isn't telling you? So I'm not interested in that type of content. But the branding piece of this came about was, really kind of solidifying this as a business and turning this into a brand is when I met Charlie. You know, Charlie is a marketer. He owns a marketing company. And, Charlie, because I always had this vision of this being something bigger than what it was. And, just through my conversations with Charlie, he was able to help me strategize and pivot this and turn it into a business. To think about this as a business. That's the thing that I think a lot of people are missing in this space. Whenever you think about content creators, social media influencers, whatever it may be. Obviously the big name guys that are out there that are doing this type of stuff. Maybe not even the guys that are even in our niche, but they think about it as it's a business, because that's what it is at the end of the day. I mean, if you're making money doing what you're doing on the internet, it's a business. But a lot of people aren't thinking about it like that, and in the beginning I wasn't thinking about it like that. But he was able to, kind of, plant that seed in my mind that, I could turn this into something so much bigger, because I did have, these ideas of things that I wanted to do. And he's been, fundamental to me, strategizing and been key to me putting this stuff together in the manner that it is, and growing this to what it is today. Um, you know, a lot of it is, I mean, most of it is obviously my ideas, and he just helps me put the pieces to the puzzle in a way that I can actually act on them. Because Charlie will tell you, I'm a doer. Like, we'll talk about something, and Charlie will be like, "Well, you can do that A, B, C way, or you can do it, C, D, E." And it's like, I pick a way and I just go. I see an objective and I go through it. And he's like, that's one thing I love about you, is that, I can tell you how to do something and you just go. He's like, if there's no thinking about it, there's no extra, waiting around, beating around the bush with it. It's, let's do it, boom, let's get it, let's make it happen. And that's what it's always, it's been like that, since I met him, and I really owe a lot of this to Charlie. His brain power behind, his marketing mind has been, again, it's been key to helping me kind of pivot this and turn it into a business and a brand. But the branding and all that stuff it's been my idea. I've always been that way when it comes to things that I do. When it comes to hobbies, it's like, I always start, putting all this branding together, logos and designs and all this other little stuff. But again, in the beginning, I wasn't thinking about it like that, as this could be a brand. But he helped me establish that, and he helped me establish in my mind that this is a brand. And branding myself as a product, out here. I'm a product of my brand, and just going with that, and staying on that track and that path is what's brought this to what it is today. It's given me the ability again to work with these really, really big brands, really, really great brands. Even whenever I wasn't even this big, I was doing, work with Columbia PFG when I was at like 3,000 followers. I've done multiple campaigns with Columbia PFG, other big name brands that are out there as well. And when I was a much smaller creator, and these are like big paid deals too. These weren't like, oh, we'll give you $200 to do this. This is thousands of dollars on the table, to do some of these campaigns. And I was a small guy at the time. And but I mean, it's been great. It's been fundamental to growing this, and turning this into what it is, and continuing to build on that as we continue to push forward through this. We set up business goals, and we have a content strategy and things like that. We plan basically our whole year out at the beginning of the year. Come like January, December, January timeframe, we basically have an entire content strategy set up for the entire year, what we plan on doing. And we just hit those objectives as they come, scratch them off.
One thing that I really appreciate and respect about you, and this is for those out there listening, I think this is really what I want everybody to understand, that really is the essence of Brandon Mays. Now, you built this brand, and now you're using some of that resources to help on a cause that's very close to you personally, and that is the autism awareness. And I want you to speak about that, because I know where the proceeds go, and I know all the hard work that it's involved with it, talking with you, and it is an investment on your resources that you've worked hard to achieve, and now you're using those to put something that's more important than that bass fishing dude of Brandon Mays, and that is the autism awareness. I want you to tell us a little bit about that. How did that idea came up? Why is it so important to you to build this brand, and how to build this awareness, and how can people help?
Yeah, man, most definitely. So, I've worked with special needs kids since my days in the military, whether it's been volunteering with Special Olympics, coaching Special Olympics, all the way back when I was in the army. I had been doing this. Got out of the military, doing the same thing as well. My son is on the spectrum. My son is 15 years old. He's on the autism spectrum. He's high functioning. So he's pretty normal for the most part, but he's real quirky, super smart. He loves to read. He's really into writing, and history is his really big hobbies. Not overly interested in the outdoors. He does like to kayak, fishing occasionally, camping and things like that. But he's obviously your typical teenager, video gaming it up all day long. Super lazy, of course. But the whole autism awareness campaign thing kind of came about whenever I started this whole thing with the fishing. It's like whenever my platform really started to take off and I started to grow about 3 years ago. I had this idea that I really wanted to do something to give back to the community. And it just so happens, I work for Raising Cane's, so fishing is not my day to day. This is not my full time thing. I have a full time corporate job. I work in information security. I work for Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers right here in DFW, at the Plano headquarters. And we have a guy that works up there. His name is Joseph, and he's on the spectrum. And he came from this organization, Austin's Autistic Adventures, which is a local nonprofit right here in DFW that supports teens and young adults on the spectrum. And so one day, when I had met Joseph when I first started working at Cane's, I found out about this organization. I was like, oh, that's really cool. At the time my son was like 12, 11, 12 years old. So he couldn't be a part of the organization yet because he's not old enough. But I was like, that's really neat. I was like, because I started asking people, so how did Joseph get started up here? And they're like, oh, he came from this organization, blah, 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 blah. It's like, cool. So just so happens one day, a few weeks later, or a month or a couple months later, they were up there doing a office tour. Our office is really cool. We got all this really cool stuff up there. So, we get visitors all the time that want to come and take a tour of the office and things like that. So that's what Austin's Autistic Adventures do. They provide social interactions for their members. They do everything from job shadowing, office tours. They go to social events, amusement parks, whatever it may be, dinners, whatever. They do all these different things, to provide social opportunities for children with the members, teens and young adults with autism and Asperger's and all kinds of other stuff that's on the spectrum. And the reason why that's important is because those kids are usually pretty antisocial, and that's because that's just a part of the trait of being on the spectrum is they're not very social, or they lack social interpersonal skills. So having an organization like Austin's Autistic Adventures that provides these types of opportunities for them, it makes them better. In the end, it provides them an opportunity to be social and be around other people, be around. I hate to use the term normal people because they're normal just like everybody else, but be around just other things other than themselves all the time, or interacting with each other all the time. They get to interact with people like you and me in an external normal environment. So just so happened that they were up there one day, and I came downstairs and I saw all of them down there, and I met Jamie, who's the founder of the organization, and I got to talking to her. And I was just like, we had a really cool conversation, and it's like, this is a really good opportunity for me to try to help them out. It's a nonprofit organization. They run solely on donations. So I was like, I got this really big social media following. I was like, I could use that to help raise some money for them. And so, I told her about it. She loved the idea of it, and I was like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And so, I talked to Charlie about it, and Charlie was like, dude, let's do it. No brainer. Let's go. So I was like, what I want to do is I want to do a t-shirt campaign, and I'll sell a t-shirt. We'll design a t-shirt, and then we'll sell that t-shirt, and we'll donate 100% of the profits that we make off of that t-shirt to this organization. So he was like, bro, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So designed a t-shirt first year. This is year one. Really sick t-shirt. We ended up selling that t-shirt. And we made $1,000. We raised $1,000 the first year. for the organization. Presented that check to Jamie and the organization. They were obviously absolutely ecstatic over it. And, I didn't know where this was going to go at the time. I didn't know how big this was going to get. I didn't know who all was going to get behind this, or how we were going to continue to down this path. But I was like, it doesn't matter what we're going to do every year come April, because April is Autism Awareness Month. We are going to do this T-shirt campaign moving forward, and we're going to raise as much money as possible to give to this organization. And the thing is like, people are probably thinking, oh, well, why this organization? Why not, Autism Speaks, or, one of these other big national organizations? And the reality of it is yeah, we could have chosen, a national organization that, could have benefited, so many more people potentially. But the reality of it is that I wanted to see those dollars that we raise go to work immediately. Because when you think about these big national brands, these big national organizations, they get millions of dollars a year, and you never really get to see where that money goes. You don't know where that money is going at the end of the day. Sure, they tell you that they're using it for this, that, or that, not to say that they're not using it for this, but you don't get to see those dollars go to work. And I knew that by partnering with this nonprofit that's right here in my backyard, people that I can go and talk to, I get to see these people, I can interact with them, I can see exactly where these dollars are going immediately. We get to make an immediate impact on this organization. So that's why it was important for me to partner with Austin's Autistic Adventures. So first year we sold that T-shirt, we raised $1,000. Second year rolls around, we start prepping, get it ready to go early. We design another stupid sick T-shirt, and every year is different. Shirt's different every single year. Second year, we raised $2,500 or $2,250 the second year, but Private Water Fishing, one of my brand partners, they ended up matching our donation amount, which brought our total for the campaign money that we raised to $4,500 year two. So, my goal has always been to double, our raised amount every single year. So, year two, we raised $2,250. So we doubled year one, then got matched. This year, we set a goal of $5,000. And, this campaign this year has been on a roll, man. I mean, my brand partners have been on top of it. They've gotten involved. We're got shirts going out the door. I mean, people are all over, even with, the diminished reach, because my reach and, is diminished on Instagram, just simply because, they control it. If you're not pumping out the content that they want you to pump out, they'll just shut your reach off. So even with that, this campaign is still on fire, man. We're almost to our goal, and we're not even halfway through the month yet. So that's a big part of this is to make this as big as possible every single year for this organization, because they deserve it. They're doing a great service to these kids, and there's no other organization like that in the country, that's doing what they're doing. And so that's why it's important to me, and that's why I will continue to do this campaign every single year. But this year's shirt is awesome. I mean, we designed this. I'm a kayak angler, so we got the kayak, we got the cross paddles in the back, you got the kid, with the puzzle piece silhouette holding up that big fish, and the quote is "See the able, not the label," because people, oh, he's autistic, they're autistic, blah blah blah. That doesn't mean anything. They're just like everybody else, So see the able in them and not the label in them. So my motto is help me by being a part of this campaign is help me bring the world to autism and autism to the world, because it's important that people that don't understand what autism is, they know more about it, because that is super important. But it's been a ton of fun, man. I really do enjoy doing this. I love being able to give back to the community. I love being in the position that I'm in to be able to give back to the community, and that's another big piece of this that I should explain, is that this is not a me thing, this is a we thing. Whenever, we think about this whole campaign as a whole and what we are doing, at the end of the campaign, whenever I present that check to Austin's Autistic Adventures for the amount of money that we raise, it's not, here's a check for XYZ from that bass fishing dude. It's like, no, this is from the TBFD gang, which is everybody that encompasses this whole platform and everything that I do in social media and fishing. It's from everybody. This is from us. This is not from me. It's from we. So that's what's really important to me, man, is that it allows us to do something great for this organization and not just me. And that's where I get a lot of enjoyment from it. You're on mute. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I can't. My allergies are still clear, so I don't want to be sniffing while
Nah,
you're
you're
talking.
good.
But I keep turning off and on and off. But anyways, one thing that I really appreciate about what you said is that you chose a local um, charity group. The ones you local because it's for you represent the community around you. So
Yep.
why don't we leave the money in the community um, that is helping those and raising awareness. So I think that's a big factor. The other thing is, and I've read this article, for example, and not to crap on anybody's field, but you looked at the NFL, right? The NFL has that Fannie Mae Foundation, which is
Yep.
breast cancer awareness. If you ever read an article about it, it's sad because I think the actual percentage of the donations that go actually to breast cancer research is something like 10%.
Yep.
People say, well, how can that be if it's a nonprofit organization? It's write-off. It's all about write-off. If you can put it on a paper that's a write-off, that's good enough for the IRS. And it's sad because you see all these big corporations like the NFL, which is supposedly another um, uh, nonprofit organization, if you believe that. And again, I love football. Don't get me wrong. I love my Chicago Bears. I root for them every year. But the point that I'm trying to make is I appreciate that you're choosing a local organization that takes care of our community here in the DFW area. And that actually the money that you are raising, because actually it's the money that your followers are donating, that it is actually gonna go to autism awareness. It's not
Yep.
gonna go to some write-off um, get rich scheme that a lot of this big name that people really drink the Kool-Aid and think that Fannie Mae is really out there when it's actually not when you look and it's information out there. I encourage anybody that's gonna donate in money into anything find out before you start, unless you're just doing it for the tax break, that's another thing. But really, if you can do it to some organization that's really 100% going to what it is that it's designed to, then I completely support that. And that's something that I wanted to highlight because anybody that's listening that wants to buy one of the t-shirts that you are putting out there to help this campaign, they should know that this goes 100% of the money they invested into the autism awareness program. It's not for any individual. And I think that's very important to highlight. I wouldn't bring you on board to talk about it if I didn't believe that. And I truly believe that I do give you the utmost respect for that. Because again, you could be using your resources to sell more shirts that encompass the bass fishing dude brand, but yet you've decided to set aside some of those resources for something that's bigger than all of us. And I appreciate that. And I think I'm proud to help you spread the word on that. Where can people um, donate and get their hands on those t-shirts and help out?
So there's actually a page on my website. You can go to thatbassfishingdude.com. The first hero image that you see as soon as you go to the website, it says you'll see a big old hero image of me with the whole organization, all the kids, that were involved in the Day on the Water, which is another piece of this. Right there on the top of my website, you'll see a link that says "Learn More." You just click that button; it's going to take you to a whole page where you can read up on the campaign. You can scroll down, and you can see all of the accomplishments that we've made over the last 3 years. This is the third year going. And you can purchase a shirt right there from that page. It'll take you. You got the option for either a T-shirt, a hoodie. For you Northerners that got those longer than normal winters. And there's a youth size T-shirt as well for the kids if you got some children that are on the spectrum, or you just got your kids want to represent the campaign as well. Just grab your shirt. I use a print on demand service, so basically what you're paying for when you buy the shirt is you're paying for the shirt clearly. The cost of the shirt and the production cost goes back to the company, but the profits from that shirt, 100% of the profits from that purchase is what's being donated to the organization.
And
So
that's
yeah,
really big. Yeah, and I don't know if this is going to work on the recording, but I'm trying to share the picture. If you're watching on our Facebook group or on Paddle and Fin or on our YouTube channel Paddle and Fin, you can see the website is that bass fishing dude. Um, and again, you can help out and find out more about these organizations. So again, Brandon, that is awesome what you're doing, and we want to see it grow. We want you to achieve the goals because at the end of the days, the goals are for the community and those that could really use the help in this matter.
100%. And it's a small organization too. This is not some big, huge organization. We had so second piece to all of this. I don't know if you had some other stuff before I jump into this, but the day on the water thing.
Yep,
But
go ahead.
so there's a second piece to all of this that we actually started last year, where we introduced the organization to paddle sports and fishing. So we took the org out on a huge private lake with we had 14 kayaks and fishing rods and all that other kind of stuff. We had 12 kids from the organization, because again, this is not a huge organization, it's a small organization. There are 12 kids, and their parents and their immediate family. So we have 50 total people come out to this thing last year. And these are kids that, mind you, have extremely poor motor skills or no motor skills at all, that have never been on a kayak. Most of them have never even probably seen a kayak. And bro, when I tell you that these kids got on these kayaks and they took to it like a duck to water, it's probably the most amazing thing on the planet to watch and be a part of, man. Like, to get out here on the water and get these kids in a kayak and help them learn how to paddle and learn to balance themselves in the boat and just go out here and just see them paddling around. And there's actually a video of this on the page as well. It's all the way at the bottom. You'll be able to watch that video because there is media behind us. We film all of this and document it as well for you guys to see where your what your money is actually benefiting. And but dude, it was amazing, man. It was probably one of the biggest, one of my favorite things of the year. And we're gonna do that again this year in June. Really, really looking forward to that again this year. But yeah, man, the day on the water is another big piece to this, and that's where we present them with the big cardboard check. We've obviously already given them the money, but this is where we put the big cardboard check up so that the families and everybody that's there can see, hey, we as a whole brought this donation to you guys, and this is what we're bringing to your org. So yeah, man.
And big shout out to Private Waters Fishing, who again matched the donation. That's really big on them. Um, and again, if you want to find out, for those out there listening, if you want to find out more information, check out, if you didn't catch the OG live show, live every Thursday, this past Thursday with Brandon, that bass fishing dude, and Jay Randall and Brian Schiller, you can go to Paddle and Fin and research that episode. Again, that was on last Thursdays. Last week's Thursday, it was a live show. So you can find out more. Brandon was there to talk about this big event and how people can help out. It has more details on it. Brandon, honored to have you on the podcast as always.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.
I appreciate what you do, man. Our relationship here is more than just me following you and you coming on to the podcast. You're like a brother to me in a lot of ways, and I always appreciate the time that you take to talk fishing, talk content creation, talk social media, and we wish you the best moving forward, especially with the autism awareness, man. We really want to hope. I know my T-shirt is coming; it's on its way. I just got the email today.
Yeah,
I was hoping I'd get it before the for this recording, but I didn't. But anyways, the important thing is the money's going to go to where I know it's going to be used in a way where it's going to help our families. So that's the biggest thing. So I appreciate what you're doing, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Brandon, before I let you go, I know I've had you for more than an hour now. Obviously, I want to give you a chance to take a few minutes to thank all your sponsors. Anybody you want to thank? I know you have a long list of quality sponsors, so I'll give you as much time as you want.
Yeah, man, I just wanted to give a humongous shout out, man, to everybody that rocks with the TBFD gang, man. Thank you, all the listeners, that are checking this podcast out. Thank you, Armando, for having me on here. Shout out to Real Tree Fishing, shout out to NRS, shout out to Mariner Sales, shouts out to Hobie Fishing, shouts out to Charlie, for being in my corner, man. Shouts out to man, dude, there's so many. Shouts out to William over at BRD Custom. Shouts out to the whole squad, man. Thank you all so much, Nakwa, everybody that's been a big part of this. Helping me be successful out here on the water and allowing me to do the things that I get to do and allowing me to represent, a lot of your great brands. I'm really appreciative of it, man. I look forward to all the great things that we get to accomplish out here. And I'm just having fun doing this, man. And again, thank you for having me on the podcast, bro.
Man, thank you for blessing the podcast once again, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. Always love talking to you, hanging out with you on the water and off the water. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Big shout out to Charlie, our boy Charlie, Digital Wells. Go follow him too at Digital Wells.
Absolutely.
And if you're looking for a marketing director or a marketing company, get in contact with Charlie Wells at
Digital Starter. There you go.
There you go. So once again, for those out there listening, we really appreciate it. Once again, check out my sponsor, Douglas Outdoors. Go to douglasoutdoors.com to check out the full lineup of our Loras X Matrix and fly fishing rods. If you're going to be out on the water, wear your PFDs. If you're going to have a few beers while you're on the water, please drink responsibly and take good care of yourself, guys. Have a great week, everyone. Peace.
Peace.